Hey, what's up, heroes? This is Ethan from the Legendary team. Today I'm here with Blake
How's it going?
and Amy,
Hi.
and we wanted to talk about Erelah The Endless, the new legend launching in this event. You've probably seen her either in her previous event or being teased throughout this event, and we just want to take a minute and talk a little bit about what went into the creation of Erelah. So this character is the half angel, half demon. She first showed up a couple weeks ago in the Life and Death event, where, if you remember, that was the one where the Fallen One, the sexy Dark Angel guy, and the Reaper were fighting against the All-Mother, which was like, she was a beautiful, giant, kind of cosmic presence with a whole world in her hand. And the story there was that kind of just a classic Fallen Angel rebellion story where the Fallen One, who was rebelling against his mother, the All-Mother, who's kind of the creator of all things. And to teach him a lesson, All-Mother and the Reaper teamed up. They gave birth to this being, Erelah, and wanted to basically humble him and put him in his place. And so that's why we have this new legend, this eternal figure who is half life and half death. And her purpose in the world is to fight on the side of cosmic balance. And so it's not...
So wait,
Go ahead, Amy.
Ethan, the guy with the 8-pack
Yes.
and the All-Mother?
Yes. And so, Blake, when you get if I'm remembering right, you get a character brief that basically says, half angel, half devil woman. And
Yeah,
so how do you take a concept like that and turn her into the incredible art that we saw?
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about the theme for the event and ahead of time some of the narrative. So we know that there's this mother who's a life goddess and the father who's a death god. And then thinking of this character, I kind of think of her as a really elaborate yin-yang symbol. You know, she has that duality. She's almost like a two-face trope here. So playing into those two parts and trying to figure out designs that for the light side and the dark side, the angel side and the demon side, that complement one another, contrast one another, and celebrate that duality, but make her feel badass and cool. I like her pose, how she's presenting her hand in an intimidating way, give her a really cool magical spear. And yeah, just with the design, we really wanted to play up the wing theme. I think that's we keyed into the angel wings and the demon wings, these bat wings, and pulling that into the armor that you see on her shoulder and legs, and then the spear as well. She's a celestial being, so we're going for armor that feels almost crafted in the heavens, something that feels a little bit more organic. You see the kind of armor wrapping around her body in cool ways. You have the dark armor is a little bit more sinister, and you can see it corrupting her body on the far side. You know, it's because that death energy is coming in, and so not only does her armor represent that duality, but you can see in her skin and kind of her eye that the far side of her, the dark side, is almost dead.
Which side is easier to draw for you?
Both are really fun. The angel and the demon visuals are pretty set, so there wasn't too much exploration there. I think the difficult side was figuring out how to incorporate them and allow some of the dark and the light to intermingle in your body, and figuring out that balance where it was divided, in the center, but at the same time there was a nice transition there, so it wasn't too one and one. But yeah, then after, so this was the one we designed first, and then after the fact, we went ahead and created the two separate versions of her. So the one that's completely angel and completely demon. But we were pretty happy with this image to start off with, and then we went from this to the other two.
Yeah. So on my side, like having to come up with the story and trying to justify her, or like explain why there are these two halves, that was the big challenge this week. And that was kind of why I thought it would be fun to talk, would be to read my horrible poetry, also known as the Legendary story.
I love it.
and see if it's cool or real dumb. Because I'll be totally honest, this one I finished writing and I was like, yeah, Ethan, you did it this week. And then 3 minutes later I was like, that was real dumb.
Story of my life.
So the first challenge was that when we wrote the bio for Erelah the first time, it was for the life and death event, and that time there was just the one character. And then Gina sent me this brief for what we're doing on this event, and it says, and that was the first time I saw the split art, and it's, oh, there's Angel Erelah and there's Demon Erelah, and she's really important, and then also there's this war of light elves and dark elves, and just make it all work. And so this week had the basic challenge, which is like, why are these characters fighting? But then, why is this other new character fighting on both sides, and why are there 3 versions of her? So let me explain to you the story, and you can tell me whether it's dumb or not.
But Ethan, before you start, what affinity is the new legend?
So Erelah is the Dark Affinity legend. She's the new Dark legend. So even though her imagery is both light and dark, her card affinity is going to be dark. We don't have the capability to do a dual affinity card quite yet, even though it's something people ask for that every now and then.
And so if she's a dark legend and Almar is a dark legend, are they related in any way?
Right now, they are not. That doesn't mean they won't be in the future.
Good answer.
So, well, I mean, it's like we've talked about this a lot. Like the story's a lot of make it up as you go.
Yeah.
And
David Lindelof version,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping this will be more like more The Leftovers and less Lost when it all comes together. But
Me too.
but the first 5 legends all had a cohesive story that worked together. And in the story where we introduced the twin dragons, there was some tie. But right now, I haven't figured out the full arc of the legend story. I think maybe once they're all released, we'll figure out why all 10 of them team up to be the new, West Coast Avengers or whatever. Save the universe again.
Okay.
So this week's event, starts with the war of dark elves versus light elves. And so the challenge was, why are these two sides fighting, and how do we take this legend and have both the light side of her and the dark side of her, and she's going to fight everybody. And that way you'll use her both as a hero and as a villain. So the first thought was, we need a reason for these two sides to fight. So we went with kind of a Norse naming scheme for the elves, because the light elf, dark elf concept comes from Norse mythology, as far as my Google research could find. And so we decided that Leafir is the main dark elf, and his sister Sigrid, and they are in some eternal war against Queen Astrid, ruler of the Light Elves. So I thought, okay, Queen Astrid rules Alfheim, the elf world. She is disgusted by the Dark Elves. She hates them. Previous kings and queens tolerated them or saw them as trade partners, but she just wants to wipe them out. So she's the enemy because she's trying to purge the land of Dark Elves. Mm. And then Leafir and Sigrid, his sister, have been so pushed to the brink by this that they do something extreme, and they use this dark corrupting magic to summon this celestial force, Erelah the Endless. And not only do they summon her, but they split her in 2.
Ooh.
So they know that her essence is both light and dark, and they split her into 2, thinking that the dark half of her will like them and fight for their side.
Sounds like trouble.
Yeah. Basically, they unleash a force they don't understand and can't contain, and Erelah just basically spanks everyone is the end
Sweet.
of the story. So that's the setup. Now I'm going to read you the actual bios, and you can tell me whether this is cool fantasy writing or lame bad high school poetry.
Or inspired George R. R. Martin epic masterpiece.
Let's just take that option off the table ahead of time.
Okay.
So first we'll start with Erelah the Endless. She was the first one written. Born of the marriage of All-Mother and Reaper, Erelah is a being of two worlds. Half angel, half demon, she lives in the grace of both and fears the judgment of neither. Her immortal unlife a testament to creation, the sum of joy and sorrow, the end and the beginning. It is her eternal burden to perpetuate the great balance until such a time as balance is no longer demanded. I feel like I'm like standing on a stage, like intoning to a choir. It's got a very like biblical feeling to it.
I like it.
I feel like All Mother is so wonderful. And Reaper is so bad. I have a hard time with this, but the story so far makes sense in your writing.
So that's actually a good segue into their individual cards. So what's it say when she's split into just Erelah's angel and just Erelah's demon? So Erelah's angel says, those who think Erelah's angelic half is a force of good misunderstand the All-Mother and the very nature of reality. Goodness, righteousness, justice. From the All-Mother's eye, these are but petty human concepts fueling petty human concerns. Erelah did not fight for what was good. She fought for what was necessary and fought to maintain balance.
Oh, I like her.
And then Erelah's demon says, those who think Erelah's demonic half is a force of evil misunderstand her father, the Reaper, and the very nature of reality. For there's no light without darkness, no joy without sorrow, no life without death. It is the balance of these two primal forces which give all of existence its meaning.
True.
I mean, we are in the time of Libra right now, which is about balance.
Good. So maybe I was inspired by that. That's some good timing for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice way to settle the war between these elves. I think it's great.
I think as much as I want to say something snarky, it's kind of a nice story, Ethan.
Oh. Well, thank you. I was hoping
job.
for snark. Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of gets to, well, one of the challenges in writing when you have like light and dark is that the simple thing is to do good and evil, but we want players to have a reason to feel that any hero on their team can be heroic or legendary, right? They can project on themselves into this hero and be like, oh yeah, that's a badass legend and I want to be part of their adventure, or I want to be them, or I want to lead them into battle, or I want to smooch on them. If you just do good and evil, it actually makes it a little bit harder to project yourselves into those light or dark characters.
Definitely, I'd say the same as on the design side or the visual design side, where even though these dark elves, we want them to feel badass and dark and have, kind of like armor that's with these sharp, severe shapes, and they look really tough. We still want them to feel heroic and good,
But Ethan, do you really think that the All Mother and the Reaper would have fallen in love? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, not all babies are born of love. But more seriously, it's not. I would say it's that these in Legendary we play with kind of these cosmic concepts a lot, which is really fun, and so it's more that they are giant forces, bigger than anything we can conceive of, and so they're not as much two people in love as they are like cosmic forces in partnership holding the balance together. And then Erelah, their daughter, as Blake was alluding to with his visual design, is the balance and merger of those two forces.
Got it.
So probably what all this means is way too much thinking goes into this.
No, we care. I care.
It's always awesome to hear your stories, Ethan, because I mean a lot of the time these images are created before you come up with the narrative, and for me it's great. Whenever I hear their story, it's almost like I'm meeting them for the first time. Just like, oh yeah, that's who they are. That's that's their background. It's really enriches the experience on my end.
Awesome.
So hopefully the players have the same response.
All right, and I think that's a good note to end on. So hopefully this talk has been fun for you players, and hopefully it has informed you a little bit more about the characters of this event and the battle, and about Erelah the Endless and her two sides. And good luck on the event, and I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out on top of the leaderboard. All right, thanks, Blake.
Thanks, guys. Later.
Thanks, Amy.
Bye, guys.